All right, so this right here is Samsung's brand new Galaxy Z Flip 6, and there are some cool subtle differences about this. One, you can see a boxier design on the outside. It's also thinner than before. We have stronger glass, a stronger hinge. The camera's a little bit more accented, and of course, being Samsung, they added a ton of AI features. I'm going to try not to use AI too much in this video. I think it's kind of a big buzzword that people use a lot, but what I really like about it when it is in Samsung phones, like I've been using the S24 Ultra for a while, is that a lot of the features, they're not like in your face all the time. You don't have a ton of features like that. Instead, they're more invisible. Like I can use Circle to search whenever I want, but they added some other cool ones on here as well. Being a folding phone, the form factor does allow you to do kind of have some different use cases of these. So the interpreter mode or translator, essentially, you can fold the phone up into flex mode and use it to translate. So one person can look at the cover glass, one person can look at the inside, and you can have a conversation where there's actually transcribed text down there. That could be good if there's like a multilingual interview, for example, or something like that. You just had to talk to somebody that speaks a different language. That could kind of assist you a little bit. I think that's pretty cool that that is an option here. Talking more about the actual design of this though, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself with the features. The design is kind of familiar. It's like a lot of the same stuff we saw in the past, but a thinner phone. The aluminum, the Armor aluminum on here is 10% more scratch resistant, so it should be a little bit more durable. The glass on here, they added a fourth layer in the middle that it was explained to me as like a non-Newtonian fluid, but it's not fluid, it's going to be a glass here. And it's essentially supposed to become, like the properties change based on the speed at which it is stressed. So if you stress it very quickly, it becomes harder. If you stress it more slowly, it is more malleable, which makes sense if you think about it for a folding phone. When you fold it, that's a relatively slow thing, even if you fold it kind of fast, relatively slow, so it's not going to be really a problem at all. But if you drop it, you would like to kind of get a little stronger, so it's not going to be breaking or puncturing or anything like that if you drop the phone. So I think that's cool. I'm going to see how well that actually performs. I'm sure Zach from Jerry Rig Everything is really going to test that out quite a bit, so check out his video whenever it comes out. Otherwise, looking at this phone, you can see the camera is accented, and that is because there are some different cameras on here. We finally have a 50 megapixel lens for the primary wide shooter on the back. In the past, it was kind of like people would choose, do I want a $1,000 S24 or S23, which has really nice cameras, or do I want a folding phone that you definitely take a hit on the cameras? And now with a 50 megapixel main shooter, hopefully you don't really have to take as much of a hit. I haven't done a side-by-side comparison. I will in the future though. So if you want to see that, be sure to subscribe and let me know which phones you'd like me to compare this to. The S24, the Ultra, the Fold, whatever, even the iPhone. I'll compare it to any of those. Just let me know what you want. But aside from that, we also have a better ultra-wide angle lens. So now, still 12 megapixels, but a much larger sensor on here, so we should be getting better low light performance. In addition, we're getting the same backend, the same engine that we saw that is processing the photos on the S24 Ultra, which should make it more context aware. So a photo of a person versus a photo of a landscape are going to be kind of tuned a little bit differently. Maybe a landscape might be more saturated, maybe a person is really going to focus on skin tones a little bit more, maybe a little more contrasty, different things like that to hopefully make it more of a point and shoot that's easier to use. But speaking of point and shoot, a phone like this can be a little gimmicky, but for the most part, people get it because it's cool, it's fun, it's a style, it's an accessory. But you can actually use a lot of that stuff, for example, with Instagram now. So camcorder mode is cool. You could fold the phone and use it to film things, and you have your settings on the right side near your thumb, and then the other half is going to show you the viewfinder, much like an old school camcorder. You can actually use that with Instagram now as well. So if you want to film a video for Instagram, you can do that. You need to figure out your orientation for the landscape or portrait. I think by default it's going to be landscape, which doesn't really make sense on Instagram, but I don't know. Find your own use case for this. It's just something that they're a little bit better with Instagram now. Again, with ISP, the native ISP on here as well. So night photos are going to look better on Instagram. Just in general, a deeper partnership with Instagram for this phone. This comes in 4 different colors. We have silver shadow, yellow, blue, and mint, but it actually comes in more than 4 colors. Those are just the 4 you can get in most places. If you go to the online exclusive ones, there's actually 3 more colors. There's peach, there's white, and there's crafted black. So if you want one of those colors, you have to go, well, I'll have a link down below. You can go through that link and you can get any of those 7 colors. And I think also there's going to be a pre-order bonus that you can get through that link right there. So hopefully a special offer for you. I'll put the details of it above. But if you want to pre-order it, check out that link in a pinned comment and in the top of the description of this video. And of course, that link goes to Samsung's official site where you can pre-order it and you'll get that bonus like I mentioned before. Samsung also focused on making this a little bit more of a powerhouse on the inside. So rather than kind of being a bit of a lighter phone on the inside, we now have a much larger battery. We're getting 4,000 milliamp hours on here, and we now have a cooling chamber, a vapor cooling chamber that we've been seeing on a lot of the other flagships like the S24 Ultra, for example, the Z Fold 5, now the Z Fold 6, and of course the Z Flip 6 finally has it. And it's actually a pretty large one as well. I want to get the number right. It's 50% larger than the S23 Ultra. So if you're planning on gaming on this or really pushing it for any kind of multitasking, that is something that I would expect this could do. However, what I have not yet tested, nobody told me the answer to this, is does this have Samsung DeX? Because in the past, they didn't have Samsung DeX on the Z, the Flip series in particular. The Folds, of course, all do, but the Flips never really had it. So we'll see with the cooling chamber if that's a feature that they did finally add. I will be testing that, of course, once I have the unit in the studio and I can really, do whatever I want with it rather than just being, a hands-on session with Samsung. Samsung also changed the cover display a little bit. So something you can now do is you can have multiple apps, multiple widgets at the same time. They have some cool dynamic wallpapers you can kind of fidget with. And of course, you can change the wallpapers and kind of a generative wallpaper as well. It's kind of limited. It's not like whatever you want, but you can have it make certain wallpapers that are just a little bit more just different, abstract, kind of based on your own interpretation of what you think is cool. And so you can get some custom wallpapers using their generative AI. That's kind of a cool thing we've been seeing kind of encroach on more and more Samsung stuff, is the ability to customize it using generative AI. And speaking of that, like I said, I don't want to get too much into that buzzword and the features related to that, but they are bringing a lot of the cool stuff to this. So we're still getting all the same cool features we saw on the S24 Ultra, circle to search, live translate when you're on a phone call, stuff like that. But along with that, because they have the new Buds 3 and Buds 3 Pro, which I also have full videos on those, it's really cool. You can actually do live translate with these earbuds. It's running off the engine on your phone, of course, and you're able to just wear these earbuds, hear everything around you, and it translates. So if you're going through a museum, for example, and whoever is talking strictly in Italian, then it's able to translate to your native language. I think there's 16 different languages it can translate between any of them, and you're able to just listen to the whole tour using your Samsung Galaxy setup. It's pretty cool in my opinion. The UI on the Flex window or the cover display, whatever you want to call it, also has two more cool things. One is going to be the AI replies. So the quick replies were kind of pre-constructed before. It was like, yes, no, I'll be there soon. Really basic stuff. But now we actually have some better ones based on the context of your conversation, based on what you would probably say in that environment in the past. And so it should be hopefully more relevant to you rather than always bring up a keyboard on a little tiny screen like that. Another thing is you can have quick access to information without signing in all the time on the cover display. You can choose what this is going to be, like maybe it's just time and date, maybe it's notifications, maybe it's other stuff like that. You can check all of that out, without having to sign in if you have that setting enabled. So overall, the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 6, kind of an iterative improvement, but they iterated in a lot of the right ways. We now have a bigger battery, we have better cameras, we have a better hinge, we have stronger aluminum, we have more features, we have more capabilities with the Flex window, with quick replies, for example, that are based on your actual context, and we have just a more usable phone as a whole. In addition, you're getting a more modern design with sharper edges around there that should feel better in your hand, and a thinner design as well. So I think across the board, if you liked the flip phones before, you're really going to like this one a lot now. But if you didn't like them before, I don't think this is going to change your mind. There's nothing drastically different about this other than, like I said, the iterative improvements with this design. So let me know what your thoughts are on it in the comments down below. If you want to pre-order, like I said, I'll have links down below for that as well. And Samsung released a lot of products at once, and I made a video on every single one of them. So 2 phones, 2 watches, 2 earbuds, and a ring. Finally had hands-on time with all of those, and I have a video for every single one. My editor and I have been working a lot on these videos to get them all out at the exact same time, so I'll have a playlist linked right here, so be sure to check out as many of those videos as you want for my takes on those different devices. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you over there.